All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session. My name is Steve Rue, and I lead the enterprise product team for Microsoft Edge.
My name is Kelly Eichmeyer. I'm a principal PM on the Intune team, now called the Microsoft Endpoint Management team.
Our teams have been partnering for a while. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Our teams have been partnering for a long time now to make sure that the experience that you have when trying to deploy and manage and configure the new version of Microsoft Edge, that it's simple, easy, and out of your way. You don't have to think about it. And so we're going to walk through the types of work that we've done that is live in all of the environments today. And Kelly will detail what that is for the Intune and Config Manager experiences, including the new security baselines that are available for you. And then I will walk you through how to configure IE mode so that you can keep one browser for your end users and have them never have to switch between multiple browsers again. So Kelly?
Thank you. So Microsoft Edge is now ready for business. Administrators can deploy Edge to users for the Config Manager console that's now in tech preview for 1910. And so far, the dev and beta channels for Microsoft Edge are available to be managed. And soon, stable will release. I think the date that you guys announced was January 15th. So the difference between these two channels is the version and the update cadence. The dev channel is updated weekly, and the beta channel is updated every 6 weeks. With Config Manager, you can deploy a specific channel and also pin to a specific version. This gives you the flexibility to test and deploy updated versions at your convenience. So now we're going to get into a demo. So here you will see this demo machine, which is Config Manager. I have Software Center open right now, and you can see that it's blank. There's nothing in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close Software Center and open. There we go. Config Manager. Going to Software, Application Management. And here in this navigation, you can see that there is a Microsoft Edge Management right here. You don't have to go and create something separate. You can start here. So I'm going to create a Microsoft Edge application. And I'm going to name it Edge Demo Ignite. And the current location, I have a share on this computer. Oops. There it is. And that's where the download of the binaries is going to go. So this is where you can choose between the dev channel or the beta channel. By default, we will ship down the latest version of whatever channel that you pick. And auto update is on, which means that as new versions of that channel are available, it will download them directly from the internet. Now, not everyone always likes to have that happen, so we have also the ability to choose a specific version here. So here, you can see that there are 2 versions of beta. Just to let you know, yesterday there were like 5 or 6 because we forked. Everything moved +1, so I'm glad there's one to show you here. So we know the API is working. That's a really good thing. So I'm going to pick this, the last .11 release of the beta version and click Next. And here, what we've done is we've added in the ability to make the application deploy immediately from after you've created this wizard. So if I click Yes, you can tell on the left-hand side here that it's expanded to add in the rest of the deployment steps within this wizard, so you don't have to go somewhere else. So we'll click Next. The collection, there is one that has been created. I'm going to pick all Edge users. And Next. This is the content description. I need to add a distribution point. So I will select one that's already pre-configured. These would be the distribution points that you already have within your environment. And click OK. Next. All right, so here it's install. And you could uninstall, but we're not doing that right now. All right, and available and required. So available means it will show up in Software Center. And then users can choose to download and install it at their convenience. Required sets a deadline date, at which point it will push the application by that deadline date. So we're going to make it available. Next. No need to put anything in here because it's just an available application. Then specify this is the notifications, whether it's going to show all notifications or only when you need a computer restart. Just so you know, updating versions of Microsoft Edge, there is no restart required. Yay! Okay, this is alerts. All right, so now we've gotten to the summary. So everything that I just selected throughout all of those screens is listed here. And now I'm going to click Next. So what's happening at this point is Config Manager is reaching out to the internet to download the Edge binaries for the beta channel for the specific version that I specified. It's creating the application for me with that content, with some pre-configured command lines and registry keys, and it's deploying it. This is a very similar flow that already exists for Office today, and now we've made it available for Edge. And so sometimes it takes a minute to download the content. You know, I had to VPN in for this, so it's not exactly the fastest. But we wanted to make sure that you knew that we're very focused on making Edge the best enterprise browser. You don't have to go outside of your management tools, so you can still use Config Manager and still use Intune. And all of the deployment is natively built in. So now what do we want to talk about while this is happening?
So where did you download the MSIs from? I didn't notice you go to any website to do that.
The API, so we have this API that we've been in collaboration with the Edge team that is a background API for us. And both Intune and the Config Manager use it. And it has all of the latest versions listed, all of the CDN locations, hashes for security, making sure that we're downloading and using the correct files. And they are updated by the Edge team as they fork and do different builds.
So I never have to go to the Edge Enterprise site and hunt for the MSI that I need to look for to try to install?
That's right. You don't have to do that. It will all be done here for you. All right, so it has completed. So I'm going to close this wizard, and now I'm going to minimize Software Center. And I'm going to go to this share right here. This is the Edge content location. You can tell here's the binaries. Here's the application. And it's the .11 release at the end that I chose. If I open that, there's the x64 and the x86 versions. So they are already there. Now I'm going to open up Config Manager and show you the applications. Here it is, the Edge demo. If I click down on the bottom on deployment types, you can see down at the bottom here, these are the two deployments, the x64 and x86 versions. Click on deployments, and it's being targeted and applied to the Edge users, and so it's now being deployed. And so when I go over to Software Center and open it up, there it is. And now it's here. So now it's ready and available. So that is the end of the, oh wait, there's more. There is more. Wait. So going back to Edge management over here, you see this, all Microsoft Edge updates. We have integrated with WSUS, so all of the updates will be available here for you. You don't have to go outside of Config Manager. You can use Edge updates via WSUS right here, and you can see there's one that's been put in here for this demo, but all of them will show up here. The details are the WSUS details in this dialog, and then if you look at the content information, you can see the path where it's being downloaded from. Yay. Okay, so now I'm going to switch gears. Go back to. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate Microsoft Edge deployment with Intune. The Edge integrated deployment is in public preview, so before we start, there's a few things you should know about. This is kind of like one of those, you know when you listen to the radio and it's like the car, rental, you can rent this car, but here's all the stipulations. Here's the stipulations. Currently, Edge is in English only. We are working on the languages, and I'm going to have a question for you in a few after I finish this demo. The app architecture is going to match the OS architecture. So x86 on x86, x64 on x64. No swapping, no putting x86 on x64. Microsoft Edge is installed in the system context. So if you have a user context already pre-installed in the user context, then it's going to overwrite. Intune can only deploy Edge to Win 10 PCs that are AAD joined or cloud attached, and will not deploy to workplace joined PCs at this time. We are working on a feature to enable that in the future. That's because we use the Sidecar. I can't remember what the formal name is for it, but that's what we're using, and Sidecar is not available on workplace joined PCs at this time, and that's how we download the Edge updater to implement this scenario. And finally, you can't uninstall or change channels once deployed. Each channel is a separate application, so you can deploy side by side. So you can be running beta and dev at the same time, and then later stable when it's available. OK, so let's get started. Oh, and also, you can find all of that information in our docs. So in the Intune console, any of the Learn More links in the deployment will lead you right to the docs where that will be there. Thank you. OK. All right, so here I'm showing you the Intune console, the Endpoint Manager Admin Center. And I'm going to go to Applications, All Apps, and I'm going to add one. So this is where we've added in directly right here, where you can get Microsoft Edge. Version 77 and later is how we differentiate between old Edge that's on Windows 10 boxes and new Edge. So version 77 and later is the new one. And so you can deploy for either Windows 10 or Mac OS. So we'll pick Windows 10. The app information blade is very similar to what you would see for any app deployment. So I'll just put in a name and a description and click OK. And then here in App Settings, you can pick the channel, either beta or dev. Note the logo hasn't been updated. No worries, it will be soon. This is just inside our service side. That's not what's going to show up on your PCs. So you can pick either the beta or the dev channel and click OK and click Add. And it's saving the application. If I go back to the All Apps and refresh, there it is. The Edge Ignite demo, and then I can choose that application and I can assign it to any of the groups. And I can make it available or required. Let's make it required and include the groups. And we'll put it to North America employees. Click OK, and save. And now that will be deploying to all of those. I refresh this page. And now it's assigned. And that's it. It's as simple as that. OK, so here we are. Now it's time for a little bit of interactivity. Oh, I need to change. Thanks. OK, so these are some of the future features that we're going to be adding in Intune. So you remember in Config Manager, I chose a specific version. We are also going to add version pinning to Intune as well. So that is what this little comp shows. I do have a question for you, though. Language. So how many of you, we're going to have a vote. So, or you can vote for both, too, because that also makes a difference. Do you want to deploy a specific language to your users, or do you want the language to match the OS language that's already there? So specific or OS? Specific, OK, a few. And the OS language? All right, there we go. Both? OK. All right, thank you. Now I know what we need to do, even though we were going to do it anyway. Okay, so now we're moving on to configuration. So, all right, so Config Manager, the new version of Microsoft Edge is managed with ADMX settings. They're downloaded from this URL. You can go and get them today. But for Config Manager, we do things the kind of old school, so that's group policy still. But for Intune, last August, we introduced support of ADMX settings for Microsoft Edge in administrative templates. These settings are similar to group policy, but they're built in to be configured from Intune. And they don't require any custom OMA URI. So it's right there and available today. One caveat, the Edge browser only respects ADMX settings on PCs that are domain joined, either AD or AAD. So there we are again, workplace joined PCs, these settings, Edge won't respect them. But we will be working with the Edge team, because we work together very closely, let me tell you, to figure out a way that we can make that happen for workplace joined as well. Oh, and so I could have said all of that. All right, I'll go back one. You can look at that for a second. Okay, and so now we'll move on to configuration for Edge on Intune. So we go back to the console. I go to Devices, to Configuration Profiles, create a profile, enter in a name. Platform is Windows 10 and later, and this is where you select the profile type, and it's right on top, Administrative Templates. And then you press Create. And then here, this is this nice drop-down where you can choose Edge version 77 and later, pick those, and up they come. There are about 200 settings that in the ADMX template, 200, 220, and you'll see a kind of the user-targeted ADMX setting and the device-targeted ADMX setting. So do that math, that's like what, 440? That's where we're at. But you don't have to scroll through to search through everything. You can filter on these items. So I will type in JavaScript. There we go. And so I can choose allow JavaScript on specific sites, and up comes the details of the ADMX setting and the ability to enable it. I can block JavaScript on, or all of it. I can block JavaScript everywhere. Allow sites, don't allow any site to run JavaScript. Let's do that. And click OK. And then I can clear the filter, and if I refresh, you will see that anything that I've enabled or made any changes to will show up at the top. Okay? So that's it for ADMX settings. Yay! Sorry, is there a question? I will get to that. Give me a minute.
It's like you knew what you're talking about next.
I know. It's just fascinating how it all just like works together like a puzzle. Yeah.
So you said the dev channel updates weekly. Does that include security updates, or is that just feature updates?
I'll let
Both.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about Patch Tuesday.
Correct. We don't align to Patch Tuesday.
And actually, there are no patches. Everything is released as a full next version. And so it will, you'll see the version updates. So, oh, okay. Great. We weren't even expecting that. Okay. So, all right. Now I'm going to switch gears for a minute. I have a prize for the person that gets the right answer. This is very coveted, you know, Edge swag. It's a power brick, and I think they're all gone. This is the last one. And if you're a Microsoft employee or you know the answer, like, you don't get to answer. Okay, what does this number represent? I wish it were my check back balance.
The number of permutations for the policies.
Oh, you win. Here you go. Congratulations. This is the number of IE group policy permutations. So there was like 2,000 IE group policy settings. So this is what you get, when you're trying to figure out what to do with all of those settings. So seriously, a PM on our team did this math. This number is real. So just to compare that to the number of observable atoms in the universe.
Take that, universe.
So that leads me to Microsoft Edge security baselines. Last year, we launched Windows security baselines, and this year we're launching security baselines for Office 365 and for Microsoft Edge. We know how hard it is to find the right combination of policies to work within your environment, so we want to give you a place to start. We work with security researchers and the Edge engineering team to define these baselines. They're categorized and available in Intune and enables you to quickly and easily deploy them to your enterprise. So let me show you how it works. So in our console, I go to Endpoint Security and Security Baselines. And then right down here you are, Microsoft Edge Baselines. These are rolling out this week. So if they're not on your tenant right now, they will be by Monday. There are 2 ASUs that won't get it this week because they're demos. Those are where we have all of our demo sheets. So you will have them by Monday. So if I go to the Create Profile, create a name, Edge, Sec, Baselines, configuration settings, and here they are. There are 11 total that have been chosen for 78, I believe, is what it was based on, and these will be the settings that will move forward until, I think we're going to update about every 6 months, about the same time that every Windows security baselines, and we will publish any individual settings that come up in between them so that you can go and add them, just in administrative templates. But we're not going to overhaul the whole security baselines like every 6 weeks. That would be just a little much. We don't want to make you do more work than you have to. And then you can evaluate the individual ones that come out during that time and see if you want to apply those yourself. And then a new one will come out, what are we talking, May, June, somewhere around there. And then again, November, December, kind of following when we do them for Windows. These baselines have SSL version, default Adobe Flash, and you should just use these to evaluate whether they're right for your environment. Sometimes they're too strict, and sometimes they're not strict enough. But we want to make sure that this is kind of the starting point that you can use. And it's what we recommend. OK. Yes? There is. If you go to, let me go back to the slide. There, that URL, aka.ms/baselines, you will find all of the documentation and toolkits. Toolkits and tools and information on what the principles were and how they were chosen. OK. All right. OK, so that's it for management demos. Want to make sure that you know that we're focused on making Edge the best enterprise browser. So thank you so much. Now I'm going to hand it off to Steve to talk about IE mode.
Thanks, Kelly. That's awesome.
Thanks. Just here, I guess.
It's been a ton of fun partnering with Kelly's team to make this all happen for you, because we know we can't be successful if you can't get the bits on the machines and actually manage them in a reasonable way. So this partnership's been amazing so far. Now I'm going to jump into IE mode. We've been listening to you to better understand the pain points that you have encountered when deploying and managing browsers in your environment. Through these conversations, there was one thing that repeatedly came up. Most of you need more than one browser deployed to your machines for end user to be most productive. In fact, over 60% do have requirements on a modern browser and the legacy support from Internet Explorer. A core reason for needing your end users to deal with this scenario is because there's a large number of legacy apps and experiences that were just developed for IE a long time ago that just work still. And there's not a high ROI in revamping those. Modernizing these apps can be difficult. In some cases, the vendor you worked with in the past may not just be around anymore. It might be a time reporting app that just works, and who wants to rewrite a time reporting app that just works even though it uses ActiveX, right? And so with the new version of Edge, we took a step back and said, can we make this better? There's got to be a better way, right? And we took the opportunity to simplify the user experience and combine these two experiences into a single browser. So for sites that need to render using the IE engine, Edge can seamlessly switch to using IE to render that particular page that a user is navigating to. And when that user chooses to navigate away from that page to a site that should use a modern rendering engine, Edge again seamlessly switches back to using the right engine for the task at hand. The user has nothing to do or worry about, and it just works for them. Another advantage of this is IE mode also, in that same vein, ensures that when a legacy compatibility is no longer needed, the user is back into the modern browser, which is a more secure browser. And so they're only in that legacy environment for the minimum amount of time necessary to get their job done before they're back to the modern browser. And so it's goodness all around. We also believe this helps you maximize your existing and current investments in the Microsoft suite of products. Providing a native experience within Windows and a cross-platform separately, but with IE mode, specifically on Windows, it allows you to have a similar experience for all of your users in your environment. It's going to be supported everywhere that IE 11 is supported. So if you're running a version of Windows and IE 11 is supported there, IE mode is supported there. It means that if you have anything built using ActiveX controls, you invested in the BHOs, specific DOF types, Silverlight, et cetera, there's no need to make any changes to those immediately. You can modernize when the time is right for you. And finally, with the recent addition to Aperture, we have your back when it comes to the legacy support here. And if it works in IE 11 today and it doesn't work in IE mode, just call us and we'll help you fix it. Whether that means we take product changes to go ahead and do the right thing on our side, or our engineers can help them partner with you to modernize your apps and make the changes necessary such that they will work either in the IE mode or the modern browser, whichever makes more sense. But we have your back on this. If you have issues, let us know. It's under Aperture.
Question?
Sure.
What are you supporting enterprise mode or lower versions of IE?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Enterprise mode, like how to run it in IE8 or?
It supports all of those. All doc types and all those are supported, yes. So moving on to configuring IE mode, there's really, at a high level, 3 things you need to think about whenever you want to set up IE mode for your environment. One, you do need to define an enterprise site list. If you already have one, you'll probably need to make some changes to that. There's probably a little bit of work you need to do, but you're a long way there. If you don't have one, you would need to create one for the first time. You need to ensure that all the machines have necessary Windows updates installed. So that doesn't mean you have to install a specific version of Windows 10. That means within the versions of Windows 10 that are supported, thank you, there are specific KBs you need to have installed on those. So we're not forcing you to move to the latest version of Windows 10 to get IE mode on Windows 10. All of the ones that are in support IE mode. They do require KBs that update Internet Explorer with certain things that we do need to enable the experiences. And I will talk through the list of what those look like in a bit. And then finally, there's a handful of policies that you need to configure on the machines. And so I want to take a step back here and walk through what these things kind of look like at a high level, and then I'll jump into a demo and show you how to actually do it. So if you've not dealt with a site list before, this is what the XML looks like. I removed a few of the irrelevant things that make it fit on the slide. But if you're using the site manager tool and you put sites in the list, this is ultimately what it ends up looking like. IE mode does require V2 of the schema. And so if you have a site list from the past that's in V1, you will have to do work to convert it to the V2 schema. It's quite a bit different, and we do have a tool to help with that. Also, I call out 2 things in this XML here. The first one is the fabricom.com/IE mode site URL, and the open in with just IE 11. What that is going to mean whenever you configure this and the user is experiencing it, it will render in IE mode. The next one, fabricom.com/standalone IE. You notice I added in the open in element the attribute app equals true. What this will do is we'll say, rather than open in IE mode, open in IE 11 standalone app. This should be super rare and not a thing that you want to use often, But there may be some scenarios that in a crutch, you do need something within the full experience of IE, and we still enable that scenario and allow you to do that. Hopefully that's not common, though. I mentioned the Windows updates. This is the table. It's in the deck. It's being recorded. But there's a 1 KB for each of the Windows 10 releases. You need that one or more recent. And then the KBs for Windows and IE for the different versions of Windows 7 and Windows 8.1. Correct. And so to paint a little more color on that one, if you're on Windows 7, the new version of Microsoft Edge is supported on Windows 7, even when Windows 7 goes out of support in January. There is a little bit of fine print and caveat to that. IE mode specifically requires the extended servicing, the extended security update, because we do take dependencies on IE that we need to continue to have updated, and the only way to have those updates is to have that ESU. So although the browser as a whole will be supported in Windows 7, when Windows 7 goes out of support, you will need the ESU for IE mode to begin support. You would be updating the OS anyway for Patch Tuesday in that scenario. It's not tied to the browser. IE mode won't stop working because you don't have that update necessarily. We don't have anything written in this saying it will break in this scenario. But it does open a huge security gap in the environment if you're not taking the security updates for IE, right? So on to configuring IE mode policies. There's essentially two that you need to configure. One is essentially saying, use IE mode, right? And so it's called Configure Internet Explorer Integration. You set it to enabled and set it to Internet Explorer mode. And then you also need to define the site list that you defined earlier. And so you enable that policy and give it either the file path or the URL to where the site list lives. Okay? So let me walk you through what this actually looks like when you're trying to set it up. So first, to show you, I'm not just faking this out. I'll take you to the portal.fabricom site that I'm sure most of you have seen used in demos so far this week. Now, in those demos, this just worked, right? In mine, it's going to not. So I go to the schedule to visit site, which does require use of Silverlight. And when I navigate to that, it gives me the message saying you need Silverlight to view this page, right? If I go to Edge Compat Diagnostics, I can go here to see, well, what's going on? I thought I had IE mode configured. I must have done something wrong. In this case, I have nothing configured for it. But in this case, I tried setting it up. I can see, and in the top section there, it will let me know if I'm missing any Windows updates. So I mentioned earlier, those Windows updates are critical to making sure that IE mode functions. If you're missing any of them, it will let you know here that you're missing those updates. You click a button, and it will allow you to download them straight from there. It also gives you other information to see what policies are set. I mentioned earlier which policies need to be set. Here I see that they're not. And if there's any weird command lines being sent to it, here I don't. If I check out the Intermode site list itself, it's empty. There's nothing in the list because, well, it doesn't know where the list is. Okay? So how do I set this up? Let's set those policies first. So you're going to set edit group policy. I've already downloaded the administrative templates from the website, which you can get from aka.ms/edge-enterprise. And I've copied them over. And so first, configure Internet Explorer integration. Set it to enabled. Choose the integration level to be IE mode. Apply it. Configure the enterprise mode site list. Turn that one to enabled. And this is the path I will end up using in a bit. And then finally, configuring the site list. And so for this, I'll use the enterprise mode site list tool. You can see right here, the list is completely empty. And so I go ahead and I will add that site to this list. And to show you what that looks like, I will save it to the XML file. And I will save it as demo. So here's the XML that was just exported from the tool, showing you that I added the portal.fabricom.com/customer-visits site to use IE mode, and the compat mode should be IE11 when I do so. So I will go ahead and restart the browser. Let's check the diagnostics and see what it thinks happened now, and you'll see that the policies are set. You'll see that it knows where the location of the site list is. Let's see if the site list has been populated yet. Looks like it hasn't. It updates on a couple of restarts of the browser in 90 seconds. However, we have this force update button if you're trying to pilot it like I am right now. Click force update. There you go. That might have been a pretty big feature request that we had early on of adding that button to do that right in real time. So I'm glad you enjoy it. So you see the site has been populated in the list. If I navigate back to our Fabricom site, and I go back to schedule a visit, just works. And you know it's rendering in IE mode because in the tab navigation, it has the IE logo, and here it also has the IE logo. And if you click on it, it will let you know the compatibility mode that it's running in, and we will work over time based on feedback of whether there's extra information here that would be relevant to you. Same with the diagnostics page that I showed you earlier. If there's additional information that would be useful to you to understand what needs to happen there, let us know, and we'll work to make your lives easier and add it in there. Okay? Sure.
So will that not work with the compatibility promotes earlier than IE11?
Oh, no, I just chose that one. It would have worked with any of them. There was no reason for me to change that in the demo. I could have chose any of those and it would have just worked.
How did you get to the diagnostic page?
It is, yeah, so it is edge://compat. And within there, you have the enterprise mode site list. It's the top one, and that shows you the location of the site list and also what is included in the site list, along with that force update button. And then this last one here, the Internet Explorer mode diagnostics, tells you whether you need any of the Windows updates, what command lines have been passed in and whatnot to help with troubleshooting what's going on. And so they're both under edge://compat. Absolutely. If it's using V2 of the schema, absolutely. I don't want to oversell what you need to do there. Depending on how the authentication for some of the sites are working, you may have to do some work to add additional sites to the list and set them to neutral, such that the authentication doesn't put it in an endless loop of trying to figure out what engine to use. So in the case we have an existing site, like I said earlier, there is a little bit of work you might have to do to get this to work seamlessly. But you're most of the way there because you did the hard part of defining which sites need to render an IE. Yep, that's fine. Yep, that's completely fine. Yep, one more question, then we have to move on.
Is there any plans long term to remove IE11 from the default install of Windows 10?
As of now, there's not a plan to do that.
Repeat the question. Just to repeat the question.
Oh, sorry. The question was whether there are plans to remove IE11 from the default installs of Windows. And currently, there's not a plan to do that. Also, there are a few areas that we're continuing to invest to help you be successful with IE mode. One of them is providing ways for you to better understand your environment and identifying which sites should be part of the site list in the first place. Providing easier ways to update, add, and remove entries to the site list. And then also improving the diagnostic capabilities to troubleshoot issues that you may encounter when configuring IE mode. We'll continue to share more information on these things as it becomes available. In the meantime, please just provide us feedback. Let us know what would make your lives easier, and we'll prioritize and get it done for you. So next steps after the session, 1, using the awesome work that Kelly's team has done, use and configure, deploy and configure the next version of Microsoft Edge on your devices. Try out IE mode for those sites that you do require the legacy browser support for. And then sleep well knowing that your users only need one browser on their machines going forward.
So I think we're supposed to go to the booth afterwards. And so you guys can follow us over there to the hub, and we will be happy to spend time with you and answer any additional questions.
Yeah. The Edge booth, it's near Theater 3. It's number 24, right by Theater 3. Thank you so much. I always forget the actual number of the booth. So here's some resources for more information. Some of them are provided by Kelly's team. Some are the documentation links from Edge. Handful of sessions related to Edge that you may be interested in. And thanks so much.
Thank you.